Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Hall Family Wines Happy Hour, the show where great minds drink alike. My name is Kathryn Hall, and I am so glad you joined us today. So here's our news. We are done with harvest, and I am here at our Sacrochet vineyard, which is in Napa Valley, about 750 feet elevation. And all of those beautiful vines that are now turning yellow that you can see in the background are devoid of any grapes. We picked them all off, and we are now getting ready for the holidays, as I know you are. And to that end, I want to mention that we have now a new item in our portfolio, and that is gift cards. And you can order those online at any of our websites. I've got one here that says cheers to you. We have another Christmassy one well, here, I'll just show it to you here again. So get those. It's a very easy way to give a gift of love and wine at holiday times. So thank you for joining us. I am very excited to bring on our guest today. She is really just a beautiful woman in every sense of the word. She has a beautiful voice that has entertained us all for years. She is a 4-time Grammy Award winner. She's also been an actor. Was in the series Roadies a while ago, Cameron Crowe's Showtime series, and she's just really done a whole lot. She writes as well as sings, and has been through so many different genres. Actually, I am excited to ask her about some of that. So let's bring on my guest, Joy Williams.
Hello.
And there she is.
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me and sending me such a beautiful wine.
Well, thank you. So let me just toast us here.
Cheers. Salud.
Yeah. Salud. Yeah. Okay. So we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I think it's always nice to have a glass of wine here.
Oh yeah, a drink first, talk later, right?
Mm-hmm. And to those of you who are watching, Joy and I are sipping this wine. It's our Kerr. And just to prove that we both have it in the same one, there's Joyce. And so we have that here, and we'll talk about it a bit later. So anyway, Joy, I was describing you in terms of what you have done professionally, but honestly, I was so moved by the way you describe yourself on social media, where all of these amazing things that you've done, but the first thing that you list is mother, and which is obviously a really important part of your life, which I so understand.
Yeah, yes. You do. You've got 4 of your own.
I do. But I have to say there's just nothing I'm more proud of than my children, and I know.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I do. I feel the same way. Of all the creative endeavors of anything I've ever done, no matter how many Grammy Awards I've won or, accolades or things I've, put on a resume, that doesn't matter as much as getting on my tummy on the kitchen floor and playing with my kids. And if I'm not a good mom, and a good mom, that's such a term, but if I don't make my kids number one, that's like my longest legacy. So songs can live on, but so does how we treat one another. So my kids are the greatest creative endeavor, and mothering is the greatest endeavor I've ever had. And it continues, as you can see. I love these. You got the Halloween picture.
Yes. So I love this. I wanted to bring this up because those of you who follow Joy will know that so many of the posts that she puts up are just these beautiful pictures, so full of love and with her children. And here is this one from you just a few nights ago, I suspect, over at Halloween.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, what if I was like, no, that was just last Tuesday?
Yeah.
No, that was Halloween. Poppy is my daughter, and she's just turned 3 in August, and she wanted to be a monarch butterfly. and we go out looking for butterflies a lot. We were doing that in the spring, summer, and we were watching how they were growing, because you can find them on milkweed here in the South, and so we would watch the chrysalises change, and we'd talk about that. So she was way into her butterfly vibes, and then I was like, and she needs some like high top Vans, because that's just the California girl in me. And then Miles is my 9-year-old son, and he's just a light, and he's so curious and carbonated, and when I mean, I don't know many 9-year-olds that when you go, hey, what do you think you want to be for Halloween? His first answer was a really scary clown, and I said, well, we have a lot of trick-or-treaters come through our side of town, and I was like, buddy, I think that might, like, you're describing what you want sounds really, really scary. That might be a little too scary. And he was like, okay, let's pivot. And I was like, okay. He's like, mime. I was like, that was a big jump, but I'm totally in. So we had a ton of fun at Halloween this year, and they're just the best.
Isn't it great? So do you live in a neighborhood where you actually can go door to door?
Oh yeah. I mean, what's crazy is that I live in a historic neighborhood that's over 100 years old, protected, which is great. And it's kind of one of the last ones like that in Nashville. And it's very, in the best sense, it's like that old show, Leave It to Beaver. Like Miles will, bound out of the house, past the covered, screened porch, and run down the street, like to his buddies 5 houses down, and then he'll run down the street 6 houses the other way to his other buddy. And so it's been a really sweet thing to watch that happen and grow for them, because I didn't know that could still exist today, but it does. And I bought 1,300 pieces of candy for Halloween, and we did 1 to 2 pieces per kid until I started realizing, well, we're running out, and we ran out at like 8 p.m. So,
oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's like it was like straight out of a movie this year for Halloween.
That is so fabulous. Actually, I love Nashville. We had a wine release there a couple of years ago,
really?
and it was just and I mean, none of us wanted to come home. We had so much fun.
But I don't know. Look at that background. I'd come home if I was.
Oh no, this is pretty wonderful. I love it. I love it.
It's not a green screen. It's real.
It is. It is totally real. It's totally real. But just hearing that about the neighborhoods, that is so special.
Yeah.
And I mean, your kids probably don't even know how lucky they are and how unique that is.
I mean, so many times haven't we experienced that in our lifetime? Like it's something passes us by, and then we look back and we're like, that was really special, and I just didn't even know it. Speaking of, can I please ask you, how was it growing up? I mean, your parents, I read, bought a vineyard in the 70s, and like, what was that like for you? Do you have that moment where you were like, oh yeah, it was just normal, and then looking back, you're like, whoa, this was and continues to be a really special thing?
I always loved it. I actually felt it was like in my bones, in my soul, and so I didn't want to stay here as a young adult. I just thought it was just too boring.
Yeah, it's just way too beautiful and like way too much good wine. You should totally have left.
No, it was just so I wanted to get away, but then when I left, I always knew I'd come back. So it's just and really just having that contrast really helps you appreciate, what you have.
Yeah, I mean, you went all over the place. Like I saw you were in Dallas, and then you were is this correct? You were an ambassador or a diplomat? You were an ambassador to Austria?
I was an ambassador and a diplomat, yeah.
To Austria.
Yeah, and to Austria, which is
wonderful. Me too, said nobody, which is great.
Yeah, well, it's just been wonderful. You have had just such an amazing career, and I have so many questions I want to ask you about your career. And I'll just start with this. I mean, you have such a beautiful voice, and it is so honest, and it is just, there's a vulnerability about, to me, when you sing, that is just so beautiful, and it has carried you through, here comes the question, it's carried you through many different genres, because as I understand, you started as a kid, you were doing gospel, and you did Christian music, and you've done alternative and folk, and just so many different types. So how was that, making those transitions? Was it natural? How did that come to pass?
Oh man, thank you for saying that, by the way. I, I think it's one of those, moments. It's like when you look back at your high school photo album and you're like, wow, that was what I dressed like. That was what I did. That was what that was what I wrote, and had written to me. And then you go to college and you think you did the same thing happens. And then the 20s go by and you're like, wow, that was really how I thought that was. And this is what I wanted to do. It wasn't that I had an identity crisis. It's just I'm unendingly curious. And I think I'm a big lover of growth, and I'm a big lover of being brave enough to say, "Is there more here?" And so when I started out, I never thought I would do music. I actually, I was working really hard in school to. I wanted to study English and minor in psychology. For what job, I have no idea. And it's ironic because now I'm the one in therapy instead of being the therapist. But it's one of those things where I look back and I go, no, each one was a lily pad that brought me more to, as Miles Davis once said, it takes a really long time to finally sound like yourself.
Mhm.
And I think those were all bits and pieces along the way, to finding more of my voice. And I mean that in the holistic sense. And it's been a total journey. And I love, it's like, don't put baby in a corner. Like I have songs, I've written songs for like top 40 artists that people don't know about. And I've written songs for artists like St. Vincent. I've co-written with her, and music for TV, film. And I don't know, I think the human experience and telling stories, it can sound a lot of different ways. So why limit it, including from my own standpoint?
It also, there's another dimension of sort of courage to what you do, because you evolve or you change, but you change in front of a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just nothing private about it.
Definitely, there's like lots of YouTubes to prove that. That is not, I will say, that's not for the faint of heart. It's really difficult. It is really difficult to just to change, and B, it's really vulnerable to change in front of other people, and then C, it's really difficult to change in front of people when they don't like it, or if they don't, and maybe it's just because they don't understand it. And I've just had these really remarkable experiences in my life where it happened maybe one or two times in my life, where people who were really cruel to me online, I actually would, for some random or not so random reason, wound up bumping into each other, and they were kind. And I thought, it's just so much easier to be unkind when you don't remember how connected we really are. And I love, I think Brene Brown speaks so well to this, about how we are all connected to one another. But sometimes that can feel threatening to people, and it's okay. It doesn't feel great, but at the end of the day, people always tell me when I hit 40s, there's this sort of metric for like, I don't really care as much about what you think about me. It's not my business what you think about me.
Well, you are not in your 40s yet, but
I'm not.
and you haven't cared about it for quite a while.
I will pay you later for reminding everybody that I'm not 40 yet. But I think it's that process of, I would be more scared not to grow. Out of fear of what people would think. I think that would be the scarier outcome versus being willing to grow and change, and move through the discomfort. And I'm grateful to say so many people have come with me through the journey of moving from gospel music to indie music to, TV, film to, what's this folk Southern Gothic duo that you're in that sort of talks about this archetypal desire of, of feminine and masculine, and that's kind of scary. And, and then to go through, but you guys sound kind of country, and you did not grow up in the South. But it, like you, the wine and the vineyard, it was kind of in your bones. I feel that, having come to Nashville, there is an odd kind of returning and rootedness that I find here. So I just don't want to be afraid to grow, no matter how old I get.
No, and I have to say, that's also part of what youth is about. Youth at any age is so about just being open to grow. And it's a beautiful part about being alive. I couldn't agree more.
Do you feel like that too?
Oh, I totally do. I mean, I've been through so many different careers and sort of reinvented myself.
Oh my
And
yeah, your bio's insane, by the way. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'll be an attorney. Yeah, that sounds great. I'll be a part of a massive like affirmative action. Like, yeah, that sounds good. Oh, and I'll have multiple children, and I'll be a diplomat to Austria. That sounds good. And then I'll do all kinds of civic like civil rights. And I mean, I'm like, I feel very lazy when I am talking to you, knowing what all the things you've accomplished, and you're who you are in totality because of each of those things that you've grown into, including now you're like that background.
And I think it's also really interesting I'm wondering if this is the same for you. I just think you look back, you don't have by far as far to look back on as I do, but
Yes.
when you look back, it's such a natural progression. And it's like, well, of course I would have done this. It seems to all fit together.
Yeah, it's like fluid in retrospect, but when you're going through it, it's like,
oh no,
where is left? What is right? Yeah. Like, am I an adult yet? I swear I'm an adult. I think I'm an adult. I think I've got this, but this is a lot of like, you're feeling your way through it.
That's true. It's really true. So I'd love to talk to you about just creative process, just that you go through. I mean, you're a beautiful performer, and I could ask you so many questions about that, but I'm fascinated by the creative process that you go through. And there's this sort of there's an honesty about everything you do. I think it comes across in your work, in your voice, but also in the sort of poetry that is otherwise known as lyrics to your songs,
Right.
So
what are you curious about that process?
Yeah, so how do you do, what is your process? Do you just sort of hole up? Do you sort of get away? How do you collaborate? I'm sure, I know you have. I've read about it.
Yeah, I love when I stumbled into someone using farming as a metaphor a few years ago, and it kind of speaks to grapes and age and time and what that year was, and like this represents like 1 year of something that's happened in life. This is 1 year in history.
And by the way, we are allowed to drink as we're doing this. I just say
yes. Yep. Yeah, cheers. I think that songwriting's could be a lot like making wine, which is you do the farming, you do the tilling, you take care of things, and then you also let the ground sit for a while. And then you have to watch as things are moving. In my case, it would be I watch as I'm having conversations. I write things down when I'm talking with someone. Cameron Crowe, when I was doing roadies with him, he has all these notebooks that he just carries with him all the time. And he's always listening. And if someone says something that he wants to remember, he just opens up and writes it down. And I've got lots of things like that too, but mine are voice memos. But it's conversations, it's life experiences. It's you're sort of tending to them, and songwriting's a bit like knowing when to harvest them, just like when you have to know when's the time to harvest the grapes. And so my process is it's not sterile, and it's not so airy fairy that it's like I just go with the muse, it's fine. I don't have that. Like I don't wake up, with all the lyrics and the melody. Like I would pay so much if I could get that. But I have to sit and I have to wait. And then there are seasons where I don't write a thing. And then there's other seasons where I call up people that I know and I trust or I'm inspired by, and I say, hey, can I sit with you? And then we talk. So much of it is talking and spending time and then seeing what's there and letting it sit. And being brave. And so my favorite thing is collaborating, honestly. So I write a lot these days for and with other artists, and I love it. And I'm starting to write for myself again. Front Porch came out a few years ago now, and was so grateful for the way that the response was, and how much support that we had from it. And getting a Grammy nomination for a solo album for myself was it felt like a big thing after being in the Civil Wars, and just felt like a big personal accomplishment. And I'll get back to it, but there's a moment when I'm just starting to harvest. That's the way we'll talk about it.
I love it when you talk about there is such a parallel between that and growing of grapes, but also parallel with actually making wine, because and so much of for me the verb I would have in mind is just sort of listening.
Yeah.
You have to you listen, or you watch in the vineyard, and you really sort of listen to sort of what a grape wants to be, how the juice seems to be evolving, and you have to, in a sense, sort of give it up. So because if you try to control a wine,
it must ruin the whole process, right?
it really does. Well, it tends then. I mean, it can be done. It has been done, but you end up then manipulating a wine, and the whole idea of the art of winemaking, and it is an art, is just sort of let it be.
Yeah.
Sort of hear it and listen to it. As you say, use patience, but then also just let those grapes sort of evolve as they want to grow, the juice sort of grow as it wants to grow.
Yeah, and it'll tell you where it wants to go as well. I mean, I'm sure that I grew up in Northern California, so there's so much. My mom always would joke, like, we cook with a lot of wine. Some of it actually makes it into the food, and so we would talk so much about wine, and my parents loved to like wax poetic about it. And we talked a lot about how special wine is, because it really is a snapshot of something that happened once in history that will never be repeated in the exact same way. So I love hearing you talk about the active listening that's required in order to capture it, not just and control it. You're trying to capture it so that it can truly, so that it can, like, the bouquet of it can grow, like the flavor of it, like all the notes of it can be listened to and celebrated. And we're literally I love that wine has notes, just like music has notes. And it's, how do we celebrate? How do we let this live and breathe in a way where we can all enjoy it together?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. 100%.
I just got this from Kathryn. I feel like, do we hit on something good that you like?
This is good. So you know what? This is actually a wonderful time. I think we should talk about
it.
So let's talk about, this is the
really good, Kathryn.
Thank you. So this is this wine we call Cur, which is the French word for heart, or they would call it this. We have the American version, we call it heart, but it's anyway. We call it this because this wine comes from the heart of Napa Valley. So I'm right here. I'm at the Sacrochet Vineyard, which is not that. I'm here behind me. What you can see in the screen here behind me is Sacrochet. It's a hillside vineyard. But this vineyard, that's in the heart of the valley, you'll see on the screen, is really, it lies on the valley floor. This is one of our wineries down here. And it's in between two mountain ranges, the Mayacamas and the Vaca mountain ranges. This is actually the winery itself, but beyond that, you can see the vineyard. And so what happens in that vineyard is that it's very gravelly soil. So the grapes are very, very small. So that means you expect that the wine that is made from these grapes is going to be very dense, which in fact it is.
It is.
And it's also a warmer area. So we can get off of these grapes, we can get a really sort of brambly quality. There's a lot of sort of blackberry, blueberry, sort of this maybe raspberry, a little bit of that, sort of these berry type of qualities. So
there's also like a hint of spice into this as well.
There is. I think so too.
Yeah. What's that attributed to? Just you being awesome?
Oh, I think, yes, just being awesome.
There you go.
Yeah. No, I just, the grapes, I think it's probably, maybe some of that will come from the oak. This is aged in French oak. This particular wine is aged for about 26 months. So there's going to be a little bit of flavor that's imparted from the oak into the wine, and that will give you some of that spice. But it's a very hearty wine, you know. And I actually, one of the reasons I wanted to have it, well, actually, there's two reasons. Part of when I think of the way you sing, it has so much heart and soul in it, and I thought that would be appropriate. But it's also really good for holiday time, you know, because you have a nice big wine. So.
It's bold, but it doesn't overtake. And I mean, I would absolutely. I mean, you were very generous when you sent some wine over, and I think I'm gonna have a lot of visitors, but not just for my company. I think it's gonna be for this.
I'm so good. And by the way, and you must come out and see me. So sometime when you're out and going back to Santa Cruz, or
I love it. Don't you tempt me. I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna knock on your door, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, I didn't mean that. Did you?"
No. Tempt. I mean it. I mean,
that's awesome. Can we talk about? So this is I don't know how to say it, a riedel or riedel, but this is a stemless, you know, glass. Can we talk about how important a glass is when you're having wine? Because I don't know enough about that.
Great question. And that's a wonderful glass, by the way. And the reason I think it's great, I mean, so and it's a different shape than this, but it has this in common. See, it sort of tapers at the top, so that what you want to do in a wine, we spend a lot. There's so many different ways you can enjoy a wine. You look at it for the color, and you smell it, and you taste it, and all that. Yeah. But the aromas are concentrated, and you can really pick them up if you have a glass that curves in like that one does. So that's really beautiful. I think also that wine would also be that glass would be a really wonderful one for Pinot Noir.
Yes.
Because it's it tapers at the top. The flavors and the aromas on a Pinot Noir are sort of less in your face than a Cabernet. So I think the fact that sort of, when I look at that, it sort of tapers out at the top. That's going to be sort of nice for a Pinot Noir as well. But anyway, it's beautiful with the Cabernet. Now, here's something you have to watch out for if you're going to have a glass that is stemless like this one. You want to not hold. If you hold it too much like this, you're going to it'll get too warm. You want a wine to breathe and to open up, but you also don't want it to be overly warm. Yeah. So that in that sense, a stem is easier because you don't have to mess around it. No, but you don't have to do that. Really? Yeah. Really? No. I promise you don't have to.
Nobody wants anyone to drink wine like this, just for every reason.
Yeah, I know. And then of course you have to do this.
Yeah. As it were. Yeah.
So, but it's wonderful and you can hold it at the bottom. I just mean that you have to watch how much you're going to hold it.
Yeah. So, but if you're a drinker, then you can do that all you want. But I'm a slow slipper.
So slipper. Well, that's a good thing. So listen. So we have this game. I did want to also just mention a little bit about the art that's on this label.
Yeah, you have a ton of art on your property, right? Your family's really into art, yes?
We are, and I love it, and I love just it's a reminder in so many ways that we are in a business that is really art. So I like having art around, not only because it's nice for our guests who come to see it, but also it's a reminder to all of us who are making the wine and who touch the wine in the various ways that we touch a wine along the way, that this is a business about art. And back to what we were talking about earlier, it's an art because we don't control it. We just let it be as it is. Anyway, so this is, and this art is by this fellow named Jim Drain.
How'd you find
American artist, and it's actually kinetic, And you'll see these, I think these pinwheels well, they do move. I'm not, oh, and now we have them moving. Yeah.
Kathryn, how did you find this?
Yeah. So let's see, we found him. I don't.
You just found him.
He's wonderful. He's wonderful. But it just sort of there's an energy and about his work in the colors, but also just sort of reinforced by the fact that they move. They actually move. You can't tell it in this video, but they really they circulate. Here they look like they're going back and forth, but they actually sort of rotate.
Well, but it's interesting. It's bold, but it's rounded. And that also kind of feels to me like a good Cab Sav, as the plebeians say, or plebeians. But I think
like that. Nice.
Yeah, it's bold, but it's rounded and it's dynamic, but it's not. It's, I don't know. There's some subtlety to it too.
Thank you. Thank you. I think so. I agree. Mm-hmm. But I love hearing you say that. So now, Joy, we have a little game that we're going to play.
Is it a drinking game?
It's no, but you can drink while you
play. A whole bottle. What am I doing here?
Yeah. In that sense, it's a drinking game. But no. So since the name of this wine is Kerr, meaning heart, our team has put together some songs that have heart in the title.
Okay. Oh gosh, are we gonna have to name songs like?
Yes, we have to name songs, but I am counting on you because.
No, don't count on me, Kathryn. I don't even remember lyrics of songs I've written myself. So this will be. This is gonna be very fun to watch what happens here.
Okay, well, let's see. I mean, I really don't know what they're going to say. Okay.
You tell the world he's never my girl. You can burn my clothes when I'm gone. And tell your friends and laugh and joke about me on the phone.
And laugh and joke about me on the phone. Eek.
Yeah, I don't know that band. I don't know. Achy Breaky Heart by
You gotta be kidding.
I live in Nashville. I should know this.
I love that song, but I don't.
It's you can tell the world you know I'm not girl. But you know what? It's if I don't have a melody, I'm lost for days. But Billy Ray.
I got it. Yeah. You can burn my clothes up when I'm gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love it. Although it's always crowded, you still can find some room for broken-hearted lovers to cry there in the gloom and be so where they'll be so lonely, baby, always with the baby, in the it's a pop song because there's baby in it. Although it's always crowded, you can still find some room for broken-hearted lovers to cry there in the gloom. I don't know. It's not like a Duran. I'm telling you, Kathryn.
You've got to be kidding.
Why are we so bad at this game? I can't even blame it on being drunk because I've only had 4 sips of your epic wine so far. Ugh.
Heartbreak Hotel, for heaven's sake.
How about every time we don't know a song, we take a drink?
I'm on it. Cheers.
So now I'm incentivized to not know any of these because then I can just keep drinking this wine. And each time I tell myself that, well, I think I've had enough. But well, I'm going to show you, baby, that a woman can be tough. Yes, she can. I want you to come in. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
What is that song?
No. So remember, it's like, come on. You know. Oh, I know.
Please do that 100 more times.
No. Yeah, no. I actually know this. I know this. Because, and here's the clue is the come on.
It is. Come on. But it's not.
No, it's, oh, yeah, you're going to know that. Okay.
I don't. I'm going to drink again. Time to answer. Unless you know it.
Janis Joplin. I'm going to bet.
He's in my heart. Oh, come on. Yeah. Taking a little piece of my heart now, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
I can sing it. I just can't find it, but we got it. Okay. How much more am I going to drink before I tell family secrets?
Okay.
Oh, honey. No.
You knock on my door. I gave you my key.
This is an old school song because keys. When you knock, honey, when you knock.
Wait a minute. How did you know it was an old school song?
Well, when you knock on my door, people don't really.
Oh.
And I gave you my key. We got so much keyless entry now, guys. Nobody knows it. And then I was your clown. That's an old school. That's old school. That's like Smokey Robinson vibes.
Right. And there was that old song.
Elton John, Don't Go Breaking.
That's right. Okay.
You guys, how embarrassed do I need to feel right now? I can make so much music, but I just don't. I'm terrible at these games.
Oh my gosh. Okay, last one. Here we go. Hey, mister, how do you do? Oh, pardon me. I thought I knew you. Stand back, baby, because I want to get a better look.
Big man who couldn't handle the little bit of love you took. I thought I knew you. Would you stand back, baby? All with the babies. It's all with the babies.
Yeah.
Not an easy rhyme, by the way, because I want to get a better look. Big man who couldn't handle. Hey, mister, how do you do? Oh, pardon me, I thought I knew you. You got Kathryn. We're literally about to strike out.
Yeah, really.
So, yeah, Have a Heart by Bonnie Raitt.
I love Bonnie Raitt. I mean, honestly, she's one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, she's such a golden soul too. She is so down to earth and calm and peaceful and just like that red hair with white. She's just such a queen. I met her at the Grammys one year, and it was like one of those years where I met so many of my idols, and she was one of them, and is one of them. And I was just like, I don't know how you can be that cool for that long. I don't know how that works.
She really is. She's totally.
Okay, well, another drinking game. We missed all of them. So let's see what I drink to knowing wine and maybe knowing a little bit about ourselves, but knowing jack about those songs.
I love it. Oh, Joy, I need to let you go, but you have just been, it has been such a joy to have you on.
Thank you. Kathryn, thanks for having me. And thank you for sharing this beautiful wine cœur. C'est très magnifique.
Mais merci beaucoup. and you're right after my cœur. So thank you. So thank you. Thank you so much for joining. And please do promise me when you come out this way again, you just must come up and see us here.
I will. As I say in the South, I'll come run up on you.
Okay. I love it.
Thanks, Kathryn.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Well, was that not wonderful? What a joy. And we really didn't have a chance to even share some of the beautiful songs that Joy has written and performed. But Front Porch, you can get online and you can buy whatever. And it's wonderful and it's honest and it touches my heart. And I believe it will yours as well. So thank you, everyone, so much for joining us on our Hall Family Wines happy hour. This is the show. Don't forget this, where great minds drink alike. And please remember, as you are getting ready for the holidays, to look into the gift cards that we have. Here's another version of a gift card here. And for those of you who have not yet entered our My Wine Moment contest, do so. You have to send us a picture of your favorite wine moment. You go check out on any of our websites and you can get the details how to do that. You'll have a chance to win a luxury Napa Valley VIP vacation. So please join us then, and join us next Wednesday. Actually, join us every Wednesday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. If it's 4 on a Wednesday, California time, you need to be with us at Happy Hour with Hall, Walt, and Baca Wine.